My phone buzzed at 2:17 a.m. Doha time, and the notification said, "Front door, motion detected." I almost ignored it. Almost. I was 3 weeks from finishing a contract in Qatar, lying in a hotel bed that never felt like mine, and my Ring app had been sending me raccoon alerts and delivery alerts for 14 months straight. But something made me tap it. The video loaded slow on hotel Wi Fi, and there was my sister, Renee, in a cream coat I didn't recognize, standing on my porch in Charleston. Next to her was a man in a gray suit holding a leather folder. My mother opened the door from the inside with a key. My key, or a copy of it. I sat up so fast I knocked my water bottle off the nightstand. "Mom?" I said out loud to an empty room like she could hear me. I watched my own front door swing open for three strangers, well, two family members and one man I'd never seen, at 6:14 a.m. Charleston time, like it was nothing, like it was theirs. Here's what you need to understand about that house. 1442, Magnolia Bend, Charleston, South Carolina. I bought it myself at 27, no help. $312,000, a fixer-upper near the Ashley River that I painted and repaired room by room on weekends between contracts. When I refinanced in 2023 to lower my rate, my loan officer at Wells Fargo said it'd go faster if I added a cosigner with stronger credit history. My parents had paid off their own home years ago. My father, Robert, said, "Put us on for the paperwork, baby girl. Take us off whenever you want." I trusted that sentence completely. I didn't even think twice. I left for Doha 8 months later for a systems contract that paid almost triple what I made at home. My plan was simple: bank the money, pay off the house early, come back and live in it mortgage free by 36. I called my mother that morning, Doha time be damned. "Mom, why was Renee at my house? Who was that man with her?" There was a pause, half a second too long. "Oh, that was nothing, honey. Just some paperwork for the property taxes." What paperwork needs a man in a suit and a folder at 6 in the morning? "Maya, you're overreacting from 6,000 miles away. Go back to sleep." That phrase, "go back to sleep," sat in my stomach like a stone for the rest of the day. I went to work. I sat in meetings. I nodded at slides about server migrations. And underneath all of it, one thought kept circling. My mother had never once told me to go back to sleep when something was actually nothing. That night, I logged into the Charleston County Register of Deeds website. I typed in my own address like a stranger searching for gossip. And there it was, filed 3 weeks earlier, a quitclaim deed. Grantor, Robert and Linda Whitfield. Grantee, Renee Whitfield. Property, 1442 Magnolia Bend. My name wasn't on it at all, not as grantor, not as grantee, not anywhere. I sat there in a hotel room on the other side of the world, staring at a legal document that said, "My house." The one I bled for, the one I painted myself, the one with my name on the original 2019 deed dummy, now belonged to my 29-year-old sister. My stomach dropped. Then it went cold. I didn't cry. I didn't call my mother screaming. I did something I'm proud of, looking back. I opened a new folder on my laptop, named it 1442, and took a screenshot of that deed before anyone could think to take it down. I stayed quiet. I let them think I hadn't noticed yet, but I had, and I was just getting started. The deed had a notary stamp at the bottom. Patricia Ann Combs, commission number 4471829, expiring 2027. I didn't know that name. I'd never met a Patricia Combs in my life, but her seal was sitting under a line that claimed I had appeared before her to sign away my own house. On a date I could prove I was in Doha, badging into a secured office building at 9:02 a.m. local time, 6,000 miles from Charleston County. I started building the folder that night, not out of panic, out of habit. 12 years in systems work teaches you one thing above everything else. Documentation is the only thing that survives an argument. People lie, timestamps don't. I pulled my badge access logs from HR just in case. I screenshotted my boarding passes, my hotel check-ins, every email I'd sent from my Doha apartment in the weeks around that filing date. I wasn't building a story. I was building a timeline nobody could talk their way around. Then I called Wells Fargo. The woman on the phone, Denise, was kind but careful with her words once she pulled my account. Ma'am, I'm showing a home equity line of credit opened on this property in March. $40,000. Draws starting almost immediately. That's not possible, then I said. I didn't open anything. The application lists Renee Whitfield as sole borrower, using the property as collateral. It says she's listed on title. I asked her to email me everything she legally could. $40,000. Already drawn down to $12,000 remaining. Monthly payments, 2 of them missed already, according to the statement Denise was reading off. My sister had taken out a loan against my house and was already behind on it. I sat with that for a long minute. The AC humming in my hotel room, the city lights of Doha doing nothing to make the moment feel less surreal. I thought about calling my father directly. I almost did. But I remembered something he used to say when I was a teenager and caught a friend lying to me. Don't show your hand until you know exactly what's in theirs. So instead, I called my grandfather Walter. Walter Whitfield is 81, lives alone in a 1-story brick house in Goose Creek, and has never once in my life told me to calm down when I had a right to be upset. Granddaddy, I need to ask you something, and I need you to be honest with me. Always am, baby girl. I told him everything, the camera footage, the deed, the notary I'd never met, the HELOC. He went quiet for so long I thought the call had dropped. Patricia Combs, he finally said, works 2 desks down from your Aunt Carol at that title company on Rivers Avenue. My chest tightened. Aunt Carol, my mother's sister. Maya, he said, your mother's been talking for a year about how Renee needs more stability than you do. I didn't think she'd do something like this, but I believe you, and I'm not staying quiet either. That was the first time since the camera alert that I felt something other than cold. I felt held. There's a lawyer I want you to call, he said. Diane Castellano. She handled my will. She doesn't lose, and she doesn't waste time being nice about things that aren't nice. I wrote the name down on a hotel notepad with the Doha skyline printed faintly behind the lines. I didn't know yet that Diane Castellano was about to tell me something that would make the deed and the HELOC look like the smallest part of what my family had done. Diane Castellano picked up on the second ring, which I later learned was unusual for her. Most calls went to voicemail first as a filter. But Walter must have texted her ahead of me. Walter says you've got a deed problem, she said. No hello, no small talk. I liked her immediately. I walked her through everything. The camera footage, the quitclaim deed, the notary, the HELOC, the missed payments. She didn't interrupt once. When I finished, she said, send me the deed, the notary's commission number, and your travel records tonight. I want to see this before I tell you what I think. I sent it within the hour. She called back the next morning, Charleston time, which meant I was eating a sad hotel breakfast at 4 p.m. Maya, I've practiced real estate and fraud law for 19 years. I'm going to say this plainly. That notary acknowledgement is false on its face. You were not in South Carolina on the date this deed claims you appeared before Patricia Combs. That's not a clerical error. That's a felony I killed. False acknowledgement of a notary. And depending on who signed your name on that page, forgery and conveying property by fraud. My name's not on it as grantor or grantee, I said. My parents are listed as the grantors. Right, which means somebody forged your name off a prior document, likely the 2023 refinance paperwork, where you added your parents to make it look like all 3 of you held title jointly, when in reality you held it solely with them as accommodation co-signers. That's the piece we need to pull, the original loan documents. I felt something shift in my chest. Not relief exactly. Clarity. There's something else, Diane said, and her voice changed register slightly. I had my paralegal run a quick property history while we talked. This isn't the first quitclaim filed on a Whitfield property in Charleston County. My stomach dropped for the second time in 4 days. 11 years ago, a property on Sycamore Lane, your grandfather's rental house, was quitclaimed to your mother for $10 and other valuable consideration. Same notary stamp. Patricia Combs. I called Walter the second I hung up with Diane. Granddaddy, did you know your rental on Sycamore Lane got transferred to Mom 11 years ago? The silence on the line told me everything before he said a word. I thought I'd sold it, he said slowly. Linda told me a cash buyer wanted it quick. Said she'd handle the paperwork as a favor since I was recovering from my hip surgery that year. I signed what she put in front of me. I never saw a closing statement. I just figured family handles family. Granddaddy, there's no record of a sale. It's a quitclaim. $10. He didn't say anything for almost a full minute. Then, 81 years old, and I just found out my own daughter's been doing this for over a decade. That was the bigger reveal. This wasn't one moment of greed around my absence. This was a pattern. My mother using notarized paperwork and family trust as a tool, going back over a decade, with my grandfather's house as the first proof of concept and mine as the latest target. Maya, Walter said, his voice steadier now, harder. I want in on this. Whatever you and that lawyer are building, I want my name on it too. For the first time since the ring alert woke me up at 2:17 a.m., I wasn't the only one fighting. I was about to find out my mother wasn't even the most dangerous person in this story. Diane laid out the plan on a video call 3 days later, with Walter joining from his kitchen table in Goose Creek, his reading glasses pushed up on his forehead. Here's what we're not doing, Diane said. We're not calling Linda and Robert and accusing them over the phone. We're not posting anything online. We're not giving Renee a single hour of warning to move money, sell anything, or get her story straight with that notary. What are we doing? I asked. First, I'm filing a LIS pendens on 1442 Magnolia Bend tomorrow morning. It puts a public notice on the property that there's pending litigation, which freezes Renee's ability to sell it, refinance it further, or draw any more on that HELOC. Second, I'm requesting the original notary journal from Patricia Combs' employer. Notaries are legally required to log every signing. If Patricia Combs logged you appearing in front of her on a day you can prove you were in Doha, that journal becomes the centerpiece of a criminal referral. Third, and this is the part where you come in, I want you to fly home. For what? For a deposition request I'm going to serve Renee with the moment you land. I want her caught off guard before your mother can coach her through a story. I booked a flight for the following Friday. Walter insisted on paying for the upgrade to business class. You've earned the legroom, baby girl. And I landed in Charleston 9 days after that 2:17 a.m. alert, carrying nothing but a duffel bag and a folder Diane had told me to bring everywhere. My mother didn't know I was back. Walter did, and he was the one who told me Renee had planned a dinner that Saturday at my parents' house. A small celebration. He said, voice flat, for finishing some renovations on her new place. I walked into that house at 6:40 p.m. My mother dropped a serving spoon when she saw me standing in the doorway. Maya, you said you weren't coming home until Christmas. Surprise, I said. Renee was at the table in a cream coat, the same one from the camera footage, laughing about countertops with my father. She looked up and her smile didn't move for a full 3 seconds, like her face hadn't caught up with what her eyes were seeing. You're renovating, I said. At my house. The room went silent the way rooms do right before something breaks. Maya, sweetheart, let's not do this at dinner, my mother said, already reaching for damage control. Do what, Mom? Talk about the quitclaim deed you filed on my house while I was in Doha? Or the HELOC Renee took out and is already 2 payments behind on? Or Sycamore Lane, the rental you took from Granddaddy 11 years ago using the same notary stamp? My father set down his fork very slowly. Renee's face had gone white. It was my 6-year-old niece, Renee's daughter, sitting at the end of the table, who broke the silence first. Mommy, is Aunt Maya's house actually your house now? Nobody answered her. The silence that followed was the loudest thing I'd ever heard in that dining room. I pulled the folder out of my bag and set it on the table, unopened. I'm not here to fight, I said. I'm here to tell you a lawsuit was filed this morning. Civil fraud, forgery, and a criminal referral for false notarization. You'll all be getting served this week. I turned and walked out before anyone could say another word. Behind me, I heard my mother's voice crack into something between a sob and my name. I didn't go back. The notary journal arrived at Diane's office 11 days later, subpoenaed from the title company on Rivers Avenue. Patricia Combs had logged an entry for my appearance at 10:30 a.m. on March 4th. The exact date my badge records showed me clocking into a secured facility in Doha at 9:02 a.m. local time, a full 8 hours ahead. There was no version of physics that let me be in two countries at once. Patricia Combs lost her notary commission within the month. She also lost her composure in her own deposition, according to Diane, when confronted with the journal entry next to my travel records. She admitted on record that Linda had brought her documents already signed and asked her to simply notarize them as a favor. No in-person appearance required. That single admission cracked the entire case open. Renee's deposition came next. Diane warned me it would be ugly, and it was. Renee tried 3 different explanations in under an hour. First, that she didn't know the deed was fraudulent. Then, that our mother had told her I'd agreed to it on a phone call. Then, when Diane produced my phone records showing no calls between us that entire month, that she'd just trusted Mom's paperwork. Diane's closing question to her was simple. Did you ever once call your sister directly to ask if she was giving you her house? Renee didn't answer. She just looked at her lawyer. The forensic document examiner, a steady, unhurried man named Gerald Osei, compared my actual signature against the one on the original refinance paperwork that had supposedly authorized adding my parents to Title II and against the signature on the quitclaim itself. His report was 13 pages of technical language that boiled down to one sentence Diane read aloud in court. The signature in question exhibits inconsistent stroke pressure, pen lift patterns, and letter formation inconsistent with genuine production by the purported signer. In plain terms, it wasn't my signature. It never had been. The judge, a measured woman named Honorable Patricia Ainsley, no relation to the notary, a coincidence that made Walter snort the first time he heard it, read the original 2019 deed into the record alongside the fraudulent quitclaim side by side for everyone in that courtroom to see. The court finds the quitclaim deed dated March 4th to be void as a matter of law, procured through forgery and false notarization, she said. Title to 1442. Magnolia Bend is restored, in full, to Maya Whitfield. Renee was charged with second-degree forgery and fraudulent conveyance. My mother was named as a co-defendant in the civil suit and is currently facing a separate criminal referral tied to the Sycamore Lane transfer from 11 years ago, a case that, as of this writing, federal investigators have started asking questions about given the pattern across 2 properties and 1 compromised notary. My father wasn't charged. He told Walter, in the one conversation they've had since, that he just signed what Linda put in front of him, his whole marriage. Walter didn't have much patience left for that excuse, and honestly, neither do I. I flew back to finish my contract in Doha 3 weeks after the ruling. I came home for good in November. The house on Magnolia Bend still has the same blue front door I painted myself at 27. I sat on that porch my first night back. No camera alert waiting to ruin my sleep. Just the sound of the Ashley River somewhere past the trees. I talk to my grandfather every Sunday now. I haven't spoken to my mother since that dinner. Some doors, once you know what's actually behind them, you don't open again.